to Quest for Completion Extras, sort of, kind of. I wanted to make a quick video to show you guys how to do Embermount Volcano Nightmare Hardcore on super low stats and with no gear. Because it's got a lot of XP, and also because somebody asked for it, and I don't have a video on it. I don't have a good video on it, so here I am. As far as stats go, you're going to be using 4 builders, and all of them are going to need 250 in their 4 bottom row stats, their tower stats. I would also recommend 100 hero speed and cast rate, but that is optional. Then, I also, quick thing, I have 1000 health on my builders. That's because I'm in offline mode, and instead of finagling with my armors and upgrading them this way or that way, I decided to just use cheat engine, because it's a lot easier. But yeah. Everything else, just, 250 in all the main stats, more or less, and that's pretty much it. The 1000 in HP for these guys isn't going to matter, and 1000 in tower attack rate isn't going to matter for the Jester, so those aren't really important. But yeah, let's get into the build. I'm doing a little bit of post-commentary here, by the way. The cars were very, very loud when I was recording this, and that was really annoying. But the build itself, it's pretty much the same build that I used in my other video, where I did this with like 500 stats. Just a little bit more gas and inferno traps. I think that's like the major difference. Or did I use lightning towers back then? I might have. Also, before I get into anything too big, I'm doing this not randomly, but because somebody asked for it. So hopefully I'm able to help the individual who asked figure out how to do this map pretty easily. But as far as the build, it's pretty much the same as the last one. Just place down a stack of auras right here. When you're placing down these auras, or of the 2 sets you're going to be placing down for each crystal, make sure that one of them, preferably the one that has only 1 lane, is a lot closer to the crystal than the other. The 2-lane aura stack can be a lot more, away from it towards the center, but one of them for sure has to be pretty damn close to that crystal. The reason for that is that if you're unlucky, or I guess if you don't do a build properly enough, you might have an enemy leak by and just slip through your defenses. And if that happens, there's no weaken aura to cover the crystal. The enemy's not going to be affected by the gas trap, and you'll die. Speaking of gas traps, for the single lane gas traps, make sure that it's very close to the crystal, as close as possible. Because again, if there's no gas trap or no weaken aura, they're just going to hit your crystal and kill you. I don't think it's 100,000% important to do that, but it's a very big safety measure, and I would definitely recommend taking it. As for the 2 lanes, just do what I'm doing here. Place them like, decently far apart, and make sure that it's covering like the whole bridge, I guess. And should be golden. As for the other area down here, more or less the same, but you are able to place your trap much closer. And everything else is, it's just the same thing. I should mention that if you want to, you can place down these gas and inferno traps a lot closer to the crystal, like the ones in the 2 lane, because again, if you're just very uncomfortable with this, you can do that, and it's a lot less likely that the enemies will kill your tower, or that they'll kill your crystal, but it is a lot more likely that they'll be able to reach and hit the crystal a few times. In my experience, it's unlikely that they'll kill you, but that's just how it is. Also, buff beams. If you have a situation like I do, where this gas trap isn't large enough to reach the buff beam, plant down another one on top of it, sell it, and boom. It is now large enough to reach that buff beam, and you can sell the one that you placed on it before to save on mana and DU. This works for both gas traps and buff beams, so I'd recommend doing it for both of those. Although honestly, for this build, that shouldn't really be a concern. But also, don't forget to place down your reflection beams. Here I'm being a little bit skimpy with is that the term? With the reflection beam DU, but you can max these things out, put like 2-3 DU in them if you want to. I just went a little bit cheap on them because I'm cheap with my DU. Now, go onto your Jester and drop down 300 mana. If you don't know how to do that, open your character menu, press that button, hold this, and there you go. Drop down 300 and spawn in your other Jester. If you haven't figured it out already, we're going to be doing this map by cheesing it with Wheel of Fortuna. We're going to be using the triple sword strategy. If you don't know, Jester's Wheel of Fortuna has the ability to hit all of the enemies on the map for a certain percentage of their HP all at once, using triple sword. For our super low stats, it's only going to do like a quarter of the enemy's HP, but that should be enough. Now, as far as the enemies themselves go, your biggest concerns are these orcs right here, because they have about 1 million HP, and spiders. So once all the enemies have spawned like this, go into Wheel of Fortuna, triple sword like that, and then do the same thing on your other character, and boom, that's like 50% HP gone on all of the enemies. And if you're lucky, a couple of them are going to be dead. So when you see some mana down there, jump down, watch out for spiders and archers, mainly spiders, not really that much of the archers, and just get the mana, repair the auras, and if you can, definitely if you can, upgrade the buff beams at least once. Not super necessary, but definitely helpful. Make sure that before you go back up, you have at least 150 mana to be able to do another set of Wheel of Fortuna. Dodge those spiders because those things are really, really bad. If the spider hits you and it has an element and it hits you like outside the aura, you're probably dead immediately. Um, Otherwise, you can tank one hit before you're gonna die to the next one. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, double set, jump back down, be a lot more cautious, repair those auras, be a lot more cautious. These spiders, there's a lot more of them this time, so you need to keep an eye out for them, try to juke them as much as you can, like this one here. I kind of got lucky that he wasn't jumping at me and decided to make a web instead, but you know, keep an eye on them for sure, and repair your auras, and you should be good. There I got hit like 2, I think maybe 3 times, but I was in the aura, so it didn't really matter. But if you can, try to go hitless because you'll get more XP. Just go back up, do a triple sword, rinse and repeat this until you're basically finished. I ran out of mana there. Instead of going through the slow method, I just, you know, chopped all the mana at once. If you're wondering how I did 2 swords there in one click, it's because if you press right click with your gesture, it's going to do all 3 lanes at once. Drop down one more time. It should only need to be done one more time, and repair all the stuff as much as you can, both areas, and you should be pretty much set. I healed there, not really necessary because I don't think I got hit, but I don't know, if you if you can do it, I guess. But that's pretty much it. One more Wheel of Fortuna, and all of the orcs are going to be dead. That spider just Chris Kyled all of my guys. That was very interesting. But yeah. I should mention that if you're unlucky, the spiders might get stuck like this, as they have in my situation. If this happens, you can jump down to get their aggro, and if you're lucky, they'll just, you know, they'll properly path. If you're unlucky, like I was here, you'll just have to do another set of triple sword, and you'll be done. Now you might notice this was a very janky run. You have to use 2 gestures and, you know, sword, sword, sword both times, and you gotta, like, you know, make sure you don't get hit. But that's because I'm doing this with the bare minimum in stats, right? You can do this with like 500 in all the stats, and you only need 1 gesture. Especially, and I would really recommend this even if you have low stats, make sure all of your armor is soft capped. But if you do it properly, you'll get, what is that, 7-ish million XP on your characters. Make sure, I forgot to do this here, but make sure that your other characters, like your EV and your Adept, the ones that aren't building the electric traps or the electric auras and the Inferno traps, make sure that they hit an enemy before the wave ends, because if you do that, you get a 1.5 times XP bonus, and that's pretty big. But I mean, that's pretty much it for the build. It's a bit more efficient than Tinker's, I think, in terms of XP per minute. It's less area you have to run to, in my experience. I don't like Tinker's as a map. It's kind of annoying. But it also gives a fairly bit, like, higher quality gear. Though, to be fair, you know, if you have to, if you are here, you do have to go through Tinker's first. So that doesn't really matter. But again, higher quality gear, a lot more XP. And that one person asked for it, so I hope I was able to help you. Uh, Again, if you have any gear at all, please equip it. Like a decent weapon, any armor. Probably that would be very important. But that's, I mean, you know, it's an easy build. It's an easy map. Just gotta be a little, you gotta cheese it, more or less. I should mention, while I have the chance, as far as the series itself goes, I'm not finished with the Quest for Completion series, obviously. I'm not going to be finished until I do everything. And as you might know, I'm not done with Infested Ruins survival, being able to do that comfortably, which was my goal prior. I just didn't have the motivation and the time to be able to do that this summer. So I'll be doing that at a later point. I'm thinking sometime between now and a year from now, I'll probably have the motivation and time to do that. So randomly between now and then, expect a video or a comment being pinned on the most recent video where I say like, "Hey, I'm gonna upload a video in like a week or two," and then I'll do that. Oh yeah, did I mention? No, no, I did mention the thing about the gas traps and placing them closer. This I think that's everything I have to say. I don't know. Oh yeah, Hermit's a hero. I forgot about that. As far as the Hermit hero goes, I won't be using him to do Infested or Karathiki Jungle or anything like that because he's a very new hero and as a result, very likely to be subject to change. So I'm not going to mess with him at all until we are done with Infested. Because again, once we're done with Infested, we have the best armor farm in the entire game and we can go do whatever because we're going to have whatever stats we want to do anything, right? And maybe I'll go back and redo some of the previous episodes once the Hermit's been out a bit longer and established, and I, have played the hero. I actually don't have the DLC yet because I've been too lazy to buy it. But yeah, no promises on that either. But I'm sure other people are making good use of him. And from everything I've heard, not really seen, but from everything I've heard, he's a great hero. So if you can get the DLC, I think it's only like $3. If you for whatever reason can't get the DLC, I guess just like leave a comment in the description with your Steam friend code, and hopefully hopefully somebody's kind enough to add you and gift that thing. It's only like $3, so it's not that much of a hard thing to gift, and it's not that much of a hard thing to get. But if you're in that situation, hopefully somebody's kind enough to do that for you. As far as the video itself goes, that's it. Again, expect the next one somewhere between now and a year from now. And I think we're going to be doing Arcane Library and Karathiki Jungle in the next video specifically. And then after that, it'll be straight to Infested, and then Infested Survival, and then that's the major part of the series done. And then after that, as long as I'm not super swamped with work or university, you guys can expect a lot more uploads more frequently because I don't have to put any brain power into doing anything. And I won't have to put much effort into editing either. That's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.